Magdalena Solis's story, often shrouded in mystery and horror, unfolds in the small isolated village of Yerba Buena, Mexico in the early 1960s. This tale is a stark reminder of the dangers of fanaticism and the depths of human depravity. In those days, Yerba Buena was a place forgotten by time, its people bound by the chains of poverty and despair. Their daily lives were a testament to endurance, a constant struggle against the elements and the hardships of rural life. Into this world of desolation came the Hernandez brothers, Santos and Cayetano, bearing the allure of hope. They proclaimed themselves prophets of an ancient deity, promising the villagers a path to salvation and prosperity. Hungry for change and desperate to believe in something greater, the villagers embraced the brothers, not realizing that their arrival would mark the beginning of a nightmare. As the influence of the Hernandez brothers grew, they founded the Infernus Blood sect, enveloping Yerba Buena in their dark teachings. However, the promised utopia never materialized, and the villagers' faith began to waver. Facing the threat of exposure and desperate to maintain their control, the brothers orchestrated a sinister plan. They ventured beyond Yerba Buena and returned with Magdalena Solis, a woman whose circumstances had left her vulnerable to their manipulation. They presented her to the villagers as a reincarnated goddess, the divine embodiment of the power they had promised. Magdalena's arrival heralded a new era for the sect. Under her guidance, the rituals and gatherings took on a more malevolent nature. Drunk on her newfound power, Magdalena demanded absolute loyalty and obedience, wielding fear as her weapon. She introduced the practice of human sacrifices, claiming they were necessary to appease her, the ancient gods, and secure the village's prosperity. The sect's descent into darkness was rapid. Magdalena presided over ceremonies of unspeakable cruelty, where dissenters and then random villagers were offered up as sacrifices. These rituals were performed with a fervor that bordered on madness, the air filled with the scent of blood and the sounds of suffering. This reign of terror persisted, hidden from the world by the isolation of Yerba Buena, until the spring of 1963, when the Mexican authorities were finally drawn to the village by reports of missing persons. The investigation that followed uncovered the grim reality of the Infernus Blood sect. In a secluded clearing, they found evidence of the sacrificial rituals, altars drenched in blood, and the remains of the victims, a chilling testament to the atrocities committed in the name of false gods. The capture and trial of Magdalena Solis and the surviving members of the sect brought the nightmare to an end. The horror of their deeds was laid bare, a story of manipulation, fanaticism, and murder that shook the nation. Magdalena, the Hernandez brothers, and their followers were convicted, their sentences a small measure of justice for the lives they had destroyed. The story of Magdalena Solis and the Infernus Blood sect remains a haunting chapter in the history of Yerba Buena, a warning of the darkness that can arise from desperation and belief twisted into madness. It serves as a grim reminder of the depths to which humanity can sink and the devastating consequences of unchecked power and fanaticism. The story of the Jonestown massacre, orchestrated by Jim Jones in 1978, remains one of the most harrowing tales of cultism, manipulation, and mass murder in modern history. It serves as a stark reminder of the dangers posed by charismatic leaders who exploit their followers' vulnerabilities and the tragic consequences of unyielding loyalty. Jim Jones, a charismatic and persuasive figure, founded the People's Temple in the 1950s in Indiana. He styled himself as a messianic leader, promoting racial equality, socialism, and a utopian society. Jones's ability to articulate a vision of a better world, combined with his dynamic oratory skills, attracted a diverse and devoted following. Over time, his teachings increasingly emphasized apocalyptic visions and the need for a radical break from societal norms. In the early 1970s, amidst growing scrutiny and allegations of abuse within the People's Temple, Jones and hundreds of his followers relocated to Guyana, South America. There, they established Jonestown, a remote commune intended as a sanctuary from the perceived corruption and oppression of the United States. Jonestown was promoted as a paradise, a self-sufficient community where equality and communal living would flourish. However, the reality of Jonestown was far from the utopian ideal Jones had promised. The commune was marked by extreme hardship, with followers subjected to forced labor, severe discipline, and constant indoctrination. Jones's paranoia escalated, leading him to assert even tighter control over his followers. He preached that the outside world was out to destroy their community, using fear to justify the increasing isolation and authoritarian measures within Jonestown. The situation reached a critical point in November 1978, when U.S. Congressman Leo Ryan visited Jonestown to investigate allegations of human rights abuses. Accompanied by journalists and concerned relatives of People's Temple members, Ryan's delegation was initially welcomed, but the visit soon turned violent. As they attempted to leave with several defectors, they were ambushed by gunmen loyal to Jones. Ryan and 4 others were killed. Faced with the imminent threat of retaliation for the murders, Jones convened a mass meeting at the commune's central pavilion. He declared that suicide was the only way to escape persecution and maintain their dignity. On November 18, 1978, more than 900 inhabitants of Jonestown, including a large number of children, died after consuming a cyanide-laced beverage. Jones termed this act a revolutionary suicide, though many survivors and historians contend that it was a coerced mass murder. The aftermath of the Jonestown massacre shocked the world. The images of hundreds of bodies scattered across the commune, many of them children, underscored the tragic end of Jones's utopian dream. The massacre remains the largest single loss of American civilian life in a deliberate act until the events of September 11, 2001. The story of Jonestown is a complex tapestry of idealism gone awry, the power of charisma used for manipulation, and the extreme consequences of unquestioning loyalty to a flawed leader. It serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of cults and the importance of questioning authority, reminding us of the value of individual autonomy and the critical need for vigilance against those who would exploit faith and trust for their own destructive ends.